So you're a racist, fascist fangirl now. I truly hope you're proud of yourself. You were someone I really looked up to until today. What a fucking disappointment you are. I hope you die. You deserve the same thing that happened to him, you racist bitch. Wake the fuck up. What kind of empowerment coach are you? The world would be a better place without you two. I suggest that you reflect on who you are as a person when you cherry pick whose death you care about and clearly only care about those who look like you. You've been such a light in my journey, Krystal, and now I see how lost you truly have become, and I wish I never found you or your work, as it all means nothing now, to find out who you truly are. These are some of the responses that I received on the day Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and I simply put a quote by him and said, "Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk," someone who I have followed for years, have been deeply inspired by, and who I wrote about a month ago because I respected his education, opinion, and faith. I won't read some of the things that people are saying about Charlie himself, as they are absolutely disturbing and evil. I'm going to do my best to articulate how I feel from the most loving and neutral space that I possibly can in this situation. You may be asking why I care, and it's because many levels of why I care about this. I care about humanity. I've devoted my life's work and my entire life to the evolution and the empowerment of the collective, to guide people back to their hearts and to love and to their true selves, which is based on love. I don't view this from my personal perspective as a political issue, as a racial issue, or even as a gun violence issue. I view it as an issue of humanity itself. For those who are celebrating this innocent man's life, who are posting disgusting videos celebrating his death, I really invite you to step back and ask yourself, how did we get here and how did I get here? This video is not meant to put anyone down or to judge anyone, and I'm really going to try my best to share that energy and not share my own emotions behind the situation. I think it's important that we learn how to step back from our emotions in many situations, to express them in healthy ways and not project them onto others. And I think the biggest issue, I'm going to get into many layers of this. I'm going to share different clips of different voices, also going to share clips of Charlie, because I'm someone who believes in doing deep research on things and not just jumping into tribal team mentality, which I think is the most harmful thing that's happening here. My team is right and you're wrong. Everyone is very obsessed with being correct and right in this situation. I don't think that's where the focus is meant to be at this time. I think many people jumping on, especially the hate wave of him, didn't even know who he was until he was shot. I am not a fangirl. I will share my experience and how he came into my life and how this has affected me as well. So I wanted to make this video sooner. It's been 5 days since Charlie Kirk's assassination. I actually lost my voice, which is very telling. I think anyone who has experienced trauma around their voice and around their throat chakra in their lives were affected by this display of this 31-year-old man being shot in his throat chakra for nothing other than using his voice. The way that I've been attacked these past 5 days has also really made me realize that, and if my voice is shaky, it's because I have been affected by this. I'm not gonna lie, I've cried a lot today for Charlie Kirk's life and for his family, as well as for the hatred that I'm experiencing, and not to me, just me personally, but I am just heartbroken by the amount of hatred, disconnect, and division that is happening in humanity at this time. During these painful moments is when we're meant to be coming together in unity and love and understanding and hearing each other, which is really what Charlie stood for. And instead we are attacking each other in really, really disturbing ways. So this has really affected me. It's hard to show up, but I think of Charlie's wife. She showed up during the hardest moment and she just expressed herself with so much strength and grace. And I think his existence, I think Charlie Kirk was the archetype of speaking your voice, which is why he was so inspirational to me. If you know my story, I've had a big journey with finding my voice. I didn't have a voice for a long time. I also experienced a lot of physical violence around me basically existing, but also using my voice. So it's been really hard for me to learn how to use it and how to speak with conviction the way that people like Charlie did. So that's something I really admire in people who can speak their truth truly unapologetically. Through this experience and the amount of hate I've received, unfollows, and just pure evil comments, it's made me realize that I've really gone silent in a lot of ways, especially these last couple of years, as anything that I post or posted would become, since I've been in America especially, would become a racial thing, or I would just receive so much hate and judgment from people who have no interest in having a conversation, who just want to put me down and attack me. I'm sad that I now realized I was silenced by them, and the reason I'm making this video, I didn't plan on it. I was just going to honor his life in a couple posts, but now here we are because I don't want to be silenced any longer, and I want to share my thoughts openly no matter what anyone fucking says, because I'm sick of the direction that we're going in humanity. Going to try to not ramble and just really stay on topic here so this doesn't end up too long. For those who may not know, 5 days ago, Charlie Kirk was assassinated at a Utah university at 31 years old, live in front of his wife and 2 young children, while answering questions from university students, which he went across America doing. He passionately and bravely went to different schools to have conversations with America's youth.
Now we are heading on campus here momentarily at the University of South Florida, throwing it down with the students. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are excited to continue this cultural movement that we have started at Turning Point USA. More high school chapters, more college chapters, and disagreement is not just welcome, it is invited. We want to have those tough conversations. That's what it's all about.
My husband, Charlie Kirk, is a force. He is a force. He is bold when the world demands silence. He is fearless where others flinch, and he has taken on the battle of the next generation, changing these hearts and minds. I know you guys have seen it at the college campuses, changing the hearts and minds of these kids. And he's doing it with the single most greatest gift that God has blessed us with, and that's God's word. That's his truth. And that's what he's doing. And it's special because it's not a career to him, it's a calling. And it's so incredible to see as a wife how God has prepared him, how God has molded him and used him to literally make such an impact and fight the good fight.
Humanity's response to this tragedy has been, for the most part, one of division. It seems that people either loved him or truly hated him or started to hate him since they've seen many short clips that have been distorted and decided that he was a fascist or a racist and all of these things that ultimately make no sense. As we get into this, if you're watching this, I invite you to place a hand on your heart and take a deep breath. And honoring any emotions that are coming up at this time, any feelings, fears, rage, knowing it's all sacred, there's a purpose to it. And I invite you, for the small amount of time of you being present with me, to do your best, to do our best to detach from those emotions and try to approach this with an open mind and an open heart, beyond what you believe you know, what you believe is right, and approach this as though Charlie was your brother and I'm your sister, because we are all family. I know at these times it can be hard to remember that, so I just invite you to approach this from your heart space with that truth. I do want to say that if you are currently celebrating this innocent 31-year-old man's death, that You are being a part of the problem that you are probably against. I trust that we all have good intent within our hearts because our hearts are pure. If you are someone dancing and putting memes up and celebrating and saying he deserved it, based on sharing his personal beliefs, then you're the one supporting gun violence. You're the one supporting innocent deaths. You are supporting division, violence, and separation. So during times like this, we can ask ourselves, what side of history do I want to be on? And I understand that a lot of rage is coming from people who feel that they haven't had a voice, and projecting it onto this person or onto others who are supporting him gives them a voice, gives them an outlet, a target to share their rage and these feelings that they might have kept in, or their own voice. But this isn't the answer. I don't believe it's the answer. I believe that we can all, which Charlie Kirk represented, have these conversations from our hearts, share our different beliefs. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a world where everyone thinks exactly the same as me. That would be really fucking boring. And I also don't want to live in a world where everyone is hating each other and you have to fear for your life simply for sharing your beliefs. If you watch Charlie's talks, if you follow him without this attachment to clips that you've seen based on hatred, where if you watch the full talk, it's been taken completely out of context, you'll see that this was someone who was genuinely doing good in the world in a way that he felt was best. That is not a bad person. That is not someone who deserves violence or death. And saying, I don't support gun violence unless, and there's a disclaimer, then you support gun violence. There's no way around that. You can't say you don't support something and then there's a disclaimer, unless it's someone who doesn't think or see this universe or this existence exactly the same way as me. I believe that one of Charlie's greatest gifts was to trigger others and to invite them to question how they view this existence. And after his death, he is definitely doing that work. He is triggering us, all of us, especially here in America. As we know, our medicine is in our triggers. If you're triggered right now, get curious about it. So my experience of Charlie Kirk is I actually reached out to him about a month and a half ago because I felt triggered by him. And I respected the amount of research and education, self-education, that this man prioritized in order to know statistics, in order to know facts. And that's why I wanted his opinion. He wasn't just some random person spewing hate towards me. And I asked him a question, given that I'm an immigrant, and the response I got was very beautiful and not quite what I expected, because I was kind of not feeling in alignment with this person because I took some things he said very differently than he intended them. And for those curious, Krystal, why do you care about this political, religious human that does not have the same beliefs as you? Because I know many were surprised, and that's okay. I don't post every single thing about me online. I will share that I came into Charlie's work years ago, and the past few months, especially the last month, I was following him a lot. And that was because, if you know my journey, I have spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money to become American. I have put in the work. I have put in the blood, sweat, and tears. If you know me personally, you know that to be very true, because I love America. And I know that's interesting to hear because there's a lot of people hating on America. But if you're from a different country, you might be able to see a lot of the positive things about America. There's so much opportunity here. Geographically, I think it's the best country. I don't have to go into all the reasons right now, but as you go along your path of becoming American, you have to study America, and you're tested for your American citizenship. You are tested, and you need to know more than the majority of Americans about America. And Charlie was one of the only people that I really enjoyed listening to. And I would say he's the first and only human who made me genuinely interested in politics. He also led me back to the scripture, to Jesus's message and work, because the way he articulated it activated this within me. And for the first time in over 20 years, I began reading the Bible again and really diving into Jesus's teachings, which I'm deeply grateful for. Before I go directly into the comments being made about Charlie and my perspective of them and other people's perspectives, which I think is just, it's really important to have these conversations and to see all sides. I expect there to be many comments for people that have this zero-sum thinking, it's called. This belief that if you give attention or empathy or respect to one person or one group, it automatically takes away from another. That empathy or love or care is like a pie and there's only so many pieces. Luckily, we are programmed to be much deeper and much more loving than that. I've seen the number one comments, and this has happened for a while, and this is why I completely stopped posting things that I personally was affected by or cared about, because right away I receive a ton of messages, and I see this happening to anyone else who shares literally anything these days. Automatically, that means they don't care about another group of people. On a cultural level, this is the tribe mentality, the team mentality. If you're with that group, that means that you're against my group. And to be fully transparent with my own journey, and this tends to trigger Americans, I am not from America, and I am not from a place where we even talk about people's races. That's just non-existent. And I shared this in a video years ago, and I had some Americans on there telling me that it was a lie. And there's no place that exists like this, apparently, because for some, it's really hard to imagine that not everyone lives in the exact same world that they do. When this happened, I got curious. I am never trying to fight that I'm right. I am so open and curious if anyone is telling me that I'm wrong. So I got curious. I called people that I went to school with because I thought, okay, maybe I'm totally remembering this wrong. Maybe it was just my household. And I asked many people I went to elementary school and high school with. They confirmed this, and they also, some of them, got me in contact with their younger siblings who at the time were in elementary school and high school from where I'm from. And I asked them, is it appropriate or allowed to bring up the race of someone? Do you ever say white or black or brown? And they said, oh my God, no. And they got really uncomfortable. So I do just want to share, because I think it's important to note that there's many different cultures in the world. And when people say you only care about Charlie because he was white, I don't personally think of someone's race ever until I get called a racist for supporting someone who's white. And if I support someone who is colored, I'm still uncomfortable saying black, by the way. If I support someone who's colored, it automatically means that I don't support whatever other race or whatever other group. When I first experienced this in America, I got curious about it. I wanted to have a lot of compassion from where this was coming from and this perspective. So I did a lot of studies and I educated myself. And I am not discounting anyone's experience in any way. That is not my intention. I'm doing my best here to understand everyone's perspective and just love them where they are at genuinely. And I really believe that we can do better. We can evolve past these limiting views that are pushing us to just hate one another and go into this team mentality right away. We are at very potent times on our planet. If this is the way that we're reacting, we aren't going to evolve as a species. We're just not. We cannot last like this. And we all know this. And we're going into old ways. What are old ways? Going into massive wars, genocide. This hatred and division is what fuels larger events. So you can really step back and ask yourself, as an individual, is this division and hate, which leads to wars, to genocide, to horrible things? Because what happens with the individual affects the collective and vice versa. Or am I spreading love and unity? Am I making people feel safe to express themselves? Am I inviting hard conversations with love and patience? Am I part of creating a world of love and unity? Because I know if you follow me and you're here, I mean, some are very disconnected from their hearts, I think, at this time, and from humanity in general. But I think if you're here, you do care. And you want to be part of making this world a better place. And these situations, like the assassination of Charlie Kirk, are the times we really get to be mirrors to one another and to ourselves, and get curious about what this is bringing up for us and how we show up during challenging moments. So I don't know about you, but I see all of this as a distraction, and this fighting one group against another isn't getting us anywhere. It's not going to evolve us. It's distracting us from what is important, which is loving one another. So while all of these groups are in this pit and fighting one another, I want to be on the bleachers holding hands and inviting them to come into this unity, this direction of love, this direction that I personally believe, and it's totally okay if you don't believe it too, that Charlie Kirk stood for.
So I do not have hate for a group. I do not have hate for a people.
You do not hate the LGBT community,
No,
and Turning Point is not against LGBT.
No, how could I hate that which I have a heart for?
Thank you.
And I might not agree at that for some of the lifestyle choices that some people make, but of course not. If you ask me, what do I have hate in my heart for somebody that doesn't choose the lifestyle that I believe that God laid out in the scriptures? Of course not.
And no, I'm
What
not.
does your hat say?
ICE.
What does that stand for?
Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. Hey, don't touch it.
What are you doing?
Gotta let her have her emotions, man. Because listen.
Have a nice day.
Listen, I'm not saying that she was right.
Let's have a conversation.
She was wrong for that. But you gotta show yourself.
Sorry,
that
Charlie.
if you really love her, you let her go.
No, 100%, guys. I'm not gonna press.
You did good.
Thank you. See, I'm not gonna.
Because I'd have been pissed if I wanted to elbow her.
No, that's
I got a question.
Sure. What was your name again? I'm sorry. Nice to meet you. Well, nice to re-meet you, I should say.
What do you hope to get out of this? Why are you here?
Okay, I've been asked that question a lot. First of all, that question should not even have to be asked, but when people stop talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriages stop talking, divorce happens. When church starts happening, they fall apart. When civilizations stop talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. Whether it be the great genocide, the horrible genocides of the last 100 years, people stop talking with each other because they lose their humanity. I wish we could be here without having my hat thrown off and stuff, but what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have reasonable disagreement where violence is not an option.
I'm not a white supremacist. Honestly, shame on him. For someone that runs an organization called Blexit, do you even know what Blexit is?
I do not.
It's literally, we employ 40 black Americans that work in Atlanta, Chicago, and Philadelphia, trying to improve the well-being of inner-city black America. What has your father ever done for inner-city black America other than call me a white supremacist? What is a white supremacist?
A white supremacist is somebody who takes advantage and believes that they are higher than everybody else.
Do I believe that?
I have no idea.
Okay, exactly. And so there's no evidence whatsoever, and yet people go around sloppily saying, you're a racist, you're a white supremacist. It is so destructive to our dialogue. It's destructive to us coming together as a country, and there's nothing to support it whatsoever. So thank you for your time.
The 40 to 50 people that I did take the time to respond to on Instagram that were mostly just spewing hatred towards me, putting me down as a person, and I was really trying to open up a conversation, but it was just insult after insult and this very closed off energy. As I say, a lot of these people are emotional and coming into these conversations with no intention to change how they feel at the start of it. I've never blocked so many people before. I've lost a lot of followers too. But if it's just harmful speech, I am not going to respond, and I'm not obligated to. If you're interested in having an intellectual, respectful conversation, which Charlie was all about, I'm all about that. Those I responded to on my Instagram repeated all of the same things. I will say it's almost cult-like, the exact same sentences, and shared the exact same clips. There's 4 to 5 clips of Charlie circulating, and each of them are talks that I've seen, and basically a 3 to 4 second clip taken out, totally out of context of a different conversation. I'm going to share some of those, not with the energy of trying to prove that I'm right again, but these are circulating, millions of people are viewing them, so I also want to share a different perspective other than just following this wave of hate. And remember, anyone can take any clip out of this video that I'm sharing now, and maybe they will, and make me out to be a fascist, to be anything that they desire, and then cancel me. And I don't know about you, but that's not the world that I want to live in.
But listen to this clip of him talking to this young lady. Here we go.
Unfortunately, in the black community, dads are the most absent of any community. About 2/3 of all black youth will be raised without a stable father around. And I know it's crazy, right? And that little precious angel of yours deserves to have a father around. You know, for daughters and for sons, it's different things. For a daughter, that's a father figure to look up to say that is how a man should act, and someone that I ought to one day marry, someone that will protect me from a vicious world, and someone that makes me understand what strength and not brutality looks like, what justice but not revenge looks like. To have a father figure is a silent way of forming a child to be a mature citizen. And unfortunately, as we've removed dads from families, government has come in and has taken the place. So some people need help and they need social assistance. All of that should be about incentivizing the dad staying around, not the dad leaving. Unfortunately, with welfare, you can get more money for single mother assistance.
This is very true.
And so right, you agree. We're actually subsidizing single motherhood more than we are subsidizing family formation. The number one objective of any social welfare program should be, how do we keep the family together and put dads back in the family? Yes. That is the number one priority.
Right, and then they say, but he racist though. Really? That's what we're doing? So he wants social programs, if they exist, to help put families back together. And he's saying that because it would help black people, cause the little girl, your precious angel in your arms there. Can y'all think of a KKK member saying that precious angel in your arms right there? How many racists y'all know? Like actually real racist, not racist like Charlie Kirk, who would sit there and discuss with a young black woman, because this is his demographic. He wants young people to turn away from sin and misery to Christ and adopt conservative American values, because those values are the ones that founded the nation. He will sit there and talk with anyone. Now,
Charlie Kirk sent me a direct message, and I'm going to show you what it said. This is almost 6 years ago exactly now, as of this video. I had not spoken to him in person or on social media. He started the conversation. You know what he said? 3 words. You are terrific. Now, bear in mind, this is back before I was blessed with the followership I have now. I had fewer than 10,000 followers on Instagram, very small Facebook presence, wasn't even on TikTok at the time. But the fact of the matter is, this young man, this leader of Turning Point USA, reached out to me and saw something I had done. And he felt so moved that he reached out to me himself to encourage me. And then he went a step further. He invited me to the BLS, which is the Black Leadership Summit Turning Point USA was putting on in Washington, D.C. I told him, transparently, I was in between jobs and didn't have the money to fund my trip. He told me that they had scholarships available and to email him directly, and he'd be able to take care of it. I did, and that's the story of how I got to be a part of the Young Black Leadership Summit, which was instrumental in springboarding me to where I am today. Now, I share that story because he didn't have to do that. And if he was a racist person, why would he do that? I'm so tired of people being besmirched by the tired liberal lie that anyone they don't like has to be some sort of racist. And I'm not immune to this. They call me racist myself. Of course, it's ridiculous on its face, but this is the nonsensical nature of your average leftist. They really want you to believe deep down Charlie Kirk hated all black people. He saw the best in everyone. He saw in me something I didn't even quite see in myself at the time, and he chose to encourage me. That is why I will literally and metaphorically pick up that mic and continue the work that he started, because I myself and many others are tired of being slandered and maligned by individuals who have nothing to sell us but fear, panic, and lies 24/7. I had to share that story with you. I thought about keeping that to myself, but the more I see him being typecast as some sort of evil person, the more I cannot be silent, and I hope that you will not be silent as well. It is time for action like never before. It is time for voices to rise like never before, and I hope you will join me in that effort. So that is the real Charlie Kirk, the one they don't want you to know, but the one I will continue to remember and honor with my actions into the future. So those are my thoughts. Hopefully you share, and hopefully you get busy as well, because we all have microphones to pick up, and we are all Charlie Kirk.
Aren't you on record saying that you'd be terrified if there was a black pilot that was flying
yes,
your
I did
airplane?
say that, but why?
Okay, cool.
What was the full quote?
I personally, I don't know. If you want to expand on that.
So this ties into this. United Airlines said that half of all their new hirees are going to be black or women, and that standards and pursuit of excellence is not going to be taken as seriously as diversity. When I'm flying a plane, I want to know my pilot is there because they're a good pilot, not because they fit some DEI box.
Damn it, I wish we could have a better conversation.
I'm sorry, man.
Nothing that you showed in that clip was hateful or racist or bigoted by any means. In regards to DEI, Charlie believed that people should be hired on merit, not their skin color, which is quite literally the opposite of racism. And again, represents a majority of conservative views. In regards to the MLK remarks, MLK was known to cheat on his wife. He was known to take women into back rooms and sexually assault them. Not a great guy, not someone to worship, so Charlie instead listed 2 other Black thinkers that he believed more aligned with his views. The views of honor and merit, where men lead households, lead women through strong leadership.
I will say that I totally understand that the first response of many of my followers when I shared Rest in Peace Charlie was that he had very different beliefs than me, so they're shocked that I would support him. I will say this very clearly, and I feel saddened that I actually have to say this. I do not wish harm or death or suffering on anyone who has a different belief than me. And it is possible for me to respect and be inspired by those who have different beliefs than me. Now on YouTube, I have a very viewed video of my abortion story, which is also called My Biggest Mistake, but this video is not about my perspective on abortion. And they also said that he doesn't support porn. There's many people that don't support porn. I do not wish harm on any of those people. I don't personally support porn. I support the evolution of porn. That's a very different thing. I believe that there is beauty, there can be beauty in some types of pornography. I believe it can be very spiritual and even connective, but sadly that's not the majority of porn, of course, that is out in the world. So I support the evolution and I do not support the industry as a whole. It has a lot of work to do. I don't think it's realistic to try to ban porn or sex work. So my approach is to make it better. When it comes to abortion, again, I'm not going to share my personal beliefs on that because that will just open up a whole thing. And that's not what this video is about. When you look at what Charlie has said, his perspective on abortion, can you really look at that person and say, that's a bad man? I do agree that there are men out there, part of the patriarchy, who just actually want to control women, to control our voices and control our bodies. I do not believe that Charlie Kirk was one of those people. As you can see from this clip, he was someone who genuinely just believed that all life deserves a chance to live.
Case, you don't think there's any case where abortion should be legal?
There's a very, very rare couple cases.
Okay, so you do
where,
think that a
one
couple
second.
cases
Hold
it
on.
is legal?
If cesarean section is not going to save the mother's life, and the mother's life is actually at risk, which is debated amongst growing numbers of OBGYNs,
Okay.
that is the only case where abortion should be
Do you
allowed.
think there should-
But people say that it is a growing consensus in the pro-life world that abortion is never medically necessary.
Okay, so if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, and she was
Well,
going to
I-
give birth
I
and
do
she
have
would,
a
no
daughter.
wait, oh, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her
Well,
rapist baby?
That's awfully graphic. To answer
It's no, but it's a real life
Okay,
scenario
well,
that happens
calm
to
down.
many
The
people.
answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
But let me tell you why. No, hold on. Let me ask you a question. There's 2 ultrasounds I have. One is a baby conceived in, one is a baby conceived by a loving couple. Which one is which?
Your daughter was probably hopefully conceived by a somewhat
which person here
loving
was
couple.
conceived by? Tell me which one was conceived by.
You don't know.
Exactly, because it's all human rights
But
and it's all
that
human
doesn't
beings.
matter.
So
It's about your daughter who has to give birth to it and is going to be tortured by that
Hold
for
on
the
a second.
rest of her
You-
life.
you are
That's
not-
going to take away every
Hold on a
freedom
second.
she's ever going to have.
Well, hold on.
That's going to
Every
ruin
freedom.
her life. She's going
You
to
know
grow
what?
up and she's going to be
Abortion is not a
attached to another
victimless
thing.
crime. The point is how you were conceived is irrelevant to what human rights you get.
But-
Hold on 1 second. If a person conceived in walks down the side of the street, it's not like they don't get First Amendment rights or Second Amendment rights.
It's
or
not
Fourth
about
Amendment
that
rights.
person.
The worst thing to do to the daughter is to then say, hey, we're going to go murder the being inside of you.
They wouldn't even know. Like, listen.
They wouldn't know.
Listen.
But wouldn't it be a better story to say something evil happened and we do something good in the face of
No.
evil instead of saying we're going to do evil and then murder the being because we're going to pander to the evil? No. What makes the West great is that we do good after evil, not evil after evil.
It's not about the being in the cells.
No,
it's not about. No. I'm
I know,
speaking.
we're-
I'm speaking.
we're both-
No, I'm
we're both
speaking.
clumps
No,
of
I'm
cells.
speaking. No,
We're
I'm
both
speaking.
clumps
No,
of
I'm
cells,
speaking.
okay?
No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking.
Want to say it one more time?
No, I'm speaking.
Got it.
Thank you. So it's not. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
No,
about
I
the
know you
person.
don't care about them.
No. I'm talking about the person who is dealing with the pregnancy. I am not talking about the cells. I don't
the
care. No,
cells.
listen. the fetus, the whatever. I don't care about that right now until it is formed. If there is a 5-year-old child who is pregnant and the baby is 2 weeks in utero,
can't get pregnant.
actually they have, and they have given birth. There is
5-year-olds have given pregnant.
There is one recorded case of a 5-year-old girl who gave birth.
Is that common?
Yes, it's common. 5-year-olds get sometimes, and if they get pregnant, I think they should be able to have medical access to something that could save not only just their life, but like their livelihood.
How many, I'm curious.
I hope your daughter lives a very happy life and gets away from you.
Okay, so that is really nasty.
The time's up.
Yeah, no, I got it. It's fine. I mean, it's insanely nasty, and we'll talk again.
I have been vegan for over 20 years now. I do not hate or wish harm upon meat eaters. I have friends that are meat eaters. Personally, within me, which I don't share, I absolutely don't think we should eat meat. Another topic again, but I love all my friends who eat meat, and I don't push my beliefs on them or judge them. I trust they're coming from a good place. Now, if you can ask me, Krystal, why have you been vegan for 20 years? And I say my response is, I don't want to support the unnecessary murder, rape, and suffering of billions and billions and billions of innocent beings every year. It breaks my heart. I think all life deserves to live. Are you going to respond to that and say, what a horrible fucking person, she deserves to die? Or are you going to say, okay, I don't agree with you, but I can see that you're coming from a really good place and a pure place. That is how I see Charlie Kirk's responses to abortion. So I guess to some, being a feminine empowerment coach is someone who wishes anyone who thinks differently than her dead or harm upon them. That seems to be what some people think a healthy or empowered person is. And in my opinion, that's one of the greatest problems with this world right now. From my perspective, I haven't seen Charlie Kirk disrespectful, hateful, seem to carry any hate in his heart. I see him approach every single person, no matter their race, no matter their beliefs, whether they think the same way as him, thought the same way as him, or didn't. From his talks, you can see that he approached everyone equally. He also had many programs supporting people of different races and different backgrounds. You can see in many of his clips as well that he was someone who was truly lit from the inside about having tough conversations in these open ways, in these loving ways. There's one clip that I saw, for example, of a college student dressing up as Satan and beginning to chant these satanic words at Charlie. And still he remained calm, wish the person the best, and that was it. And I think we can all learn from that, especially during these times. There's another disturbing thing circulating, basically saying that because he said there's always going to be gun deaths, and that's a part of the amendment supporting gun laws, that because he supported that, that means that he deserved to get killed by a gun. That is basically the same thing as saying so many people are going to die in car accidents every year, but I support continuing to have cars on the road. My own partner, before my current partner, died in a car accident suddenly, and that was very, very hard for me. Now, if I say, no, I don't believe that cars should be banned around the entire world, I think it's inevitable that deaths are going to happen every year, and every time I get in my car and others get in their car, they are choosing to risk their lives by being in a car accident. If you found out that I was then killed in a car accident, would you say that I deserve that because I support driving cars? This is a way of life and just facts that are hard. And I understand that guns are a more sensitive topic, but I think that is a terrible excuse to try to enable gun violence. I again invite you to get curious about your triggers, your shadows, if you'd like to call it that, the emotions that are coming up for you at this time, to step back at them and really observe them, become curious and ask yourself, who do I want to be in this existence? Who do I want to show up as, and how am I showing up in this moment? What is leading me? Love or hatred? Unity or division? The word divine and division have the same root word, because there is healthy division, such as us stepping back from our emotions, from our egos, from this desire to be right, from this team mentality that always comes from fear. So I have compassion for anyone who wants to be part of the tribe, because that comes from an inner fear that I won't be accepted, I'll be alone, maybe something bad will happen to me if I'm not really part of this team. And while I don't support teams in this way, I do ask you to reflect on which direction you are helping us collectively go into, and how does that feel for you? There's a lot of people writing me saying this sentence: I don't support his death, but, and I just don't want to read the rest. That but, that one word, is so heavy, and it's so revealing, and it's so telling. I don't believe there's ever a time I want to be someone who says, I don't support the violence or death of this person in front of his family, but anything that comes after that, to me, is not a space that I want to be in. I never want to have a but when it comes to someone else losing their life. So in honor of Charlie Kirk, I think that his existence, this archetype, if you will, that he was to really stir up conversations, to trigger people, and to invite us back into love, and to ask ourselves, what the fuck are we doing? Seriously, when you go online right now, like, what the fuck are we doing? There's people dancing and celebrating this. Like, nothing good comes when the collective is going in the direction of celebrating innocent lives. We've seen that throughout history. And I don't know about you, but I've seen things in history where I have really wondered, how the fuck did humans do that to one another? There's no possible way that could happen now. But situations like this, I'm like, okay, this is how it happens. It starts with one person creating hate and others just joining on, and it gets worse. And it gets more inhumane. The more people are in it and the energy that builds around that. One of the first things I thought when I found Charlie Kirk, I watched a few of his clips, and I remember very clearly, I think I even said it to a friend at the time, are we allowed to do this? I didn't know we could do this because I felt so silenced at the time and so judged by my community. And I saw him and I just thought, can we do this? Can we openly share our beliefs? Can we openly share our truth without getting harmed? And when I found out he was assassinated, I went into the washroom and I cried because I was with someone. And I just needed a moment alone. And that moment came back to me and I was just thinking to myself, no, we can't. Like, I was right. We can't do that. We can't just openly, unapologetically speak our truth and not be harmed for it. And I don't want to live in a world like that. I don't want to be silencing others. I believe we can do so much better than this. So much better. And I think what we do at these times individually are very important, more important than we realize. The future generations are looking. Literally, they were looking at him when this happened. How we show up right now really matters. So I invite you, when you're triggered, if anything that I've said is triggering here, to get curious. Maybe even do what I did. I wrote Charlie. You could write me. I am open to having healing, open, non-judgmental, loving discussions. I'm here for unity and support, to evolve together, not to hate one another. I am so sick of this hate. I am so sick of getting these fucking messages, of being called things that I am so far from. I am sick of tippy-toeing, walking on eggshells around the collective, because any move I make or anything I say, I'm the worst person on the planet. The worst things that I believe someone could be called. So may we all speak our truth from our hearts without fear. May we all see one another from a space of love rather than hate. May we all see the divine within one another, even when we have different beliefs and upbringings and backgrounds. And may we all use our voices, even when it's scary, even when our voices shake, especially when our voices shake. Because this is what it's all about. Connection, unity, evolution, love. You can choose which direction you desire to go in. I invite you into love. That's all I can say. I invite you to be up on the bleachers holding hands with us. And I take this moment to send love to Charlie's family, to Charlie's spirit, gratitude for the work that he did, the movement that he's created, for all of us to use our voices, to come back to our hearts, to have open conversations, to love each other wherever we're at. I send love to everyone affected by these events and by the global events taking place on our planet at this time. My energy on this topic does not take away my love or care for any being suffering on this planet at this time. May we all send love and do our best to approach others with the same love and care. These are the times we need it. These are the times where it's most important. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched this whole video, thank you. I deeply appreciate you listening to my voice. I didn't want to share this. A lot of people, if you want to call them haters, I don't really like to label people in that way, but a lot of people approaching me with hate discouraged me to share about this. But really, I think it's very important. I encourage you to use your voice and to share your truth and whatever is coming up for you the best that you can, because I think that's what the world needs more of. These are heavy times in many, many ways in America and globally. And the way that we get through heavy times is not by isolating and sitting on devices and hating one another, but by coming together, loving each other in our differences, and remembering that we aren't alone in the struggle. I honor whatever emotions or whatever is coming up for you at this time. And again, thank you so much for watching.